locals in this town and their best leadership in this town.
Good evening, and this goes a whole lot longer. I may have to say good morning. Lisa spoke about filling in any gaps in coverage of this topic tonight. And so I think she's pretty much done that, so I guess I don't have a whole lot more to say. Thanks, Jim. I will try to encapsulate everything in a short little speech. Too many past trade deals have benefited Wall Street and large corporations at the expense of working families. Florida and the nation cannot afford a NAFTA on steroids that offshores more manufacturing and service sector jobs, reducing state and municipal tax revenues for our schools, infrastructures, and other vital public services. It puts a downward pressure on wages and benefits on the jobs that remain. We already suffered a net loss of 700,000 jobs due to NAFTA, and with the Trans-Pacific Partnership being as large as it is, one can only imagine how many more jobs will be destroyed. Right now, Vietnam, Malaysia, and other countries associated with these trade negotiations are being promoted as low-cost labor alternatives to China. For example, the daily minimum wage in Vietnam is just $2.23 compared to $4.59 in China and $58 in the U.S. This global race to the bottom has to end. Political lip service to labor and environmental standards is not enough to protect jobs at home or basic human rights abroad. We need strong, enforceable labor and environmental standards, or we need to stop this thing altogether. The Trans-Pacific Trade Deal isn't crafted to improve the living standards of ordinary people, both at home and abroad, then it's not worth doing. We're also here to drag the Trans-Pacific Free Trade Agreement into public light. This is the third year of serious negotiations on a pact that's supposed to set the standard for international trade for at least a generation. People have a right to know what the representatives are negotiating for and negotiating away. All sorts of international negotiations, including those at the WTO, happened in the light of day. But for some reason, the Trans-Pacific trade negotiations are happening in the shadows. Meanwhile, the U.S. Trade Representative has appointed approximately 600 corporate lobbyists as official advisors, granting them ongoing access to negotiating text and the negotiators. The public is right to be skeptical of a trade deal negotiated under the watchful eyes of corporate lobbyists behind closed doors. The U.S. Trade Representative should release the text and allow for greater public input. The world simply cannot afford and will not put up with another business-as-usual trade deal that benefits the 1% of the workers, public health, and the environment. The TPP, following the NAFTA model, allows foreign corporations to sue sovereign nations if they think that any law, rules, or regulations will adversely affect their expected future profits. These challenges bypass our domestic court system and are heard in special UN or World Bank tribunals. Governments have already had to pay out over $365 million in compensation in a series of these investor-state cases under NAFTA-style agreements. There are 19 pending claims seeking over $14 billion in compensation. Also, all of our domestic laws, rules, and regulations must be in accord with the terms of treaties like the TPP. Thus, corporations will not only be able to get around our protections for labor, the environment, food safety, health safeguards, access to medicine, and internet freedoms, but they also get compensation from our taxpayers. The scariest aspect of this deal is that it could be the last trade agreement ever because of the provision that leaves the door open, allowing any future country that wants to simply sign into it. I don't believe one of the problems facing the world today is that we need more corporate powers or privileges and less regulations, thus requiring what essentially TPP is, a corporate bill of rights. We need to stop this agreement for us and for all future generations. Thank you.